Jonathan Green, Black Beauty, Solar Green, Texas Bluegrass. That's what we're doing this year. Solar Green, Texas Bluegrass. Can't find anything on YouTube about Texas Bluegrass. We'll see if it sprouts and pouts like Kentucky Bluegrass. Stand by. Just want to give you an update on this new seeding I just did with the Jonathan Green Black Beauty Solar Green grass seed. It contains no ryegrass that I can see from the ingredients on the bag, but I swear this stuff germinated like ryegrass. This area right here, I did my yard in 3 different sections. Started on Friday the 10th of September. Today is Saturday the 18th of September, so about 8 days now. You can see what this looked like. This was what I did on September 10th, this area right here. This grass is needle thin, but it's probably 3.5, 4 inches tall. It came up in less than 5 days. Actually, about the 3rd day, I could come out that night with a flashlight and see little green whiskers growing everywhere. Okay, so this was phase 1 of my yard right here, and I'll show you the other phase 1. This right here is just a continuation of what I just showed you. All this was also done on September 10th. This is part of my first day's work here. This does not look as rich as it does right there. This gets a lot of traffic. I go back and forth from my deck out to my shed constantly. So this ground is packed a little tighter. It germinated just as fast as the other side, but doesn't look as healthy yet. 8 days old. Okay, this is also what I did on that first day, September 10th, what I'm calling phase 1. I did this section of my yard, the area behind my deck, and then the area adjacent to my shed. This is about the same as what I just showed you. Needle thin grass, 3 to 4 inches tall. I swear it looks just like ryegrass, but I don't think the Solar Green grass seed is supposed to contain any ryegrass. The bag said it germinates, I think, in 10 to 14 days, but this stuff popped right up. It could have been because of the way I prepared the soil. Okay, let me continue on around and I'll show you what 7 days and 6 days looks like. This area here, from about my Christmas tree down to my irrigation reservoir, I did on Saturday the 11th of September. Today's the 18th. And it doesn't look quite as rich as the stuff that's a day older up there at the top of the hill by my shed. But it's still looking like I've got really good germination. I wish it was cloudy. My camera doesn't pick up very well when there's shadows. But yeah, it's looking great for the short period of time the seed's been in the ground. And this was the last section I did. I seeded this Sunday, September 12th. Today again is Saturday the 18th. So, 3 different phases, 3 different days. This is not quite as tall as the sections that are 2 days older than this, but germination rate looks like 100% to me. All the grass looks the same, needle thin. This is about 2.5, maybe 3 inches tall at most. Okay, so that's just an interim report. I'll probably add this to my first video I'm going to post about this stuff if I have enough room. YouTube limits to how long my videos can be. Can you see all these little gray balls? This is the stuff I showed you earlier in the video. This stuff here is what I used instead of peat moss this year. When it gets wet, it gets soft and it swells up almost like a sponge. But it is tacky. And if you step in it, especially if you've just tilled up your ground like I did, this stuff has a tendency to stick to the bottom of your shoes, and you'll pick up the little pellets as well as whatever dirt's attached to it. I absolutely love these little pellets. It was so easy to put that out. I just threw it into my Scotch spreader and put it out as if I was fertilizing. Went north, south, east, west, and I got plenty of coverage. It says does 750 square feet. I'm not exaggerating. I got at least 1,500, maybe 2,000 square feet coverage out of each bag. And I really, looking at my results, I don't think I needed to put it down any heavier than I did. The only downside, the only con to this stuff is that you want it tacky to help hold your soil in place and provide moisture to your seed, but if you walk in it, especially if you got treads on your shoes, it's going to stick to it almost like chewing gum, and then you're going to have dirt clogs on the bottom of your shoes. So to prevent that, I went ahead and I've probably got a dozen sprinklers out here all at once, and I've just got little manifolds up here along the edge of the yard where I do not have to walk in the yard. I've got enough sprinklers to where they can just stay in place. Maybe every 4 or 5 days I plan to move the hoses just a little bit so it doesn't put a mark in the yard. But you can see I've got Y splitters. I've got a 4-prong manifold. You can get this stuff at Lowe's. And I've got these things all around, each corner of my house. I have something like this, as well as down by the pool. So I can control my water flow. I can just do 2 sprinklers, maybe 3 sprinklers at a time in different zones just by twisting a little valve knob there. Even though the grass is coming in good, you can still see all the gray stuff down there. I'm going to show you something else you're going to need. Something really helpful. I bought this boot scraper off of Amazon the other day. I think it was like $19. And before I walk into my house, I just run my shoes through there. You can mount that to your deck or something. I mounted it on a piece of scrap plywood. This is only a 1/4 inch thick, but it's light enough. One-handed, I can pick it up, shake all the dirt off of that. And I can move it. If I want it by my front door, I can move it there. If I want it out by my shed, I can move it there, depending on where I tend to walk through that mucky yard. While I'm on the subject of sprinklers, you know from previous videos that my absolute favorite sprinkler is this rotary type sprinkler that I got from Target. I own at least a dozen, if not more, of those. They're really handy for putting out a lot of water in a hurry. But when you're growing new grass, especially at this stage where you don't want to walk on it, you may not be wanting to put down a lot of water all at once. These oscillating sprinklers right here are nice for this early stage of growing new grass. This is a Gilmore sprinkler. You can buy these things at Lowe's for less than $8. Go ahead and get you a handful of those. and just hook them up different places in your yard. I like them for new grass because they give you sort of like a fine mist as they spray, and they cover a large area. Now once my yard gets established, I'll go back to using the rotary type sprinkler and not water as often. But here I'm watering my yard 2 or 3 times a day, and this makes it convenient and keeps me out of that sticky, pebbly stuff that I put down. I just counted my sprinklers. I think I've got 11 sprinklers hooked up today. I've had them hooked up for the past 5 days. Once my yard gets established, I won't have this many hoses going all over my yard. It looks wicked. I usually have 2 hoses attached once my yard is grown in, and I just move them around. But right now I don't want to stand on that new grass. I do have a couple of areas where I can move the sprinkler just by walking along the perimeter of my yard, but I just don't want to walk across the middle of my yard if I can avoid it. My situation is that I've only got one place on the whole property where I'm getting water, and that's down here where my ram pump empties into my reservoir. So it's not like I live in a regular house where I've got hose bibs all around the thing. I've got one pipe feeding into my reservoir, and then I have a transfer pump that sucks water out of the reservoir with this transfer pump, and then I've got it going over to the orchard, and then everything on this side goes to my yard. And you can see all this spider mess I have on here. So I control it all different places. Once my yard's established, I'll probably just have 2 hoses coming out of this side, long hoses, maybe 200, 250 feet. And that'll pretty much allow me to get just about everything. I may have to use a quick connect to get on the other side of my car once in a while. But that's when I'm going to be watering, maybe twice a week, not every day. Certainly not 3 times a day. The reason I'm talking about that is, for once my yard's established, I use very long hoses. They might be 100 foot, each section 100 foot. I don't know why, that's what I bought. It seemed like the best value for the money was to buy the long hose. But you can see here that I've got a lot of 50-foot hoses and 75-foot hoses. But if you decide you want to irrigate your yard, this is sort of like an above-ground irrigation system. Again, more of these manifolds all over the place. I would say you really don't need a long hose. You're better off with a short hose where you can attach little Y splitters, say every 25 feet or every 50 feet. You don't really, you don't want to be cutting into your hose. Just go ahead and buy you some 50-foot hoses. I mean, they don't have to be expensive hoses if you're not going to be moving them. You can go to Family Dollar and get a 50-foot hose for $10. And then you might want to have short hoses running along your house, along the perimeter, where you can tie into it just every now and then with these auxiliary lines that go out into your yard. Or you might have a better idea. But I just recommend not walking over that brand new baby grass out there, dragging a hose back and forth 40 or 50 feet. So the way it is right now, after a few days, I could probably just come down here, walk right along the perimeter of my yard and grab that hose and maybe shake it a little bit, just enough to allow the grass to come up where the hose was for a few days. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Maybe it'll spark some better ideas for you, better than what I'm doing. How many times have I bragged about Sunjoe, Scarfire, and Dethatcher on my YouTube channel? Probably every time I look at it. I love this machine. You know, my yard is not level. It will never be level, but it's smooth. You know, after I did the core aeration this year, especially down in my low areas, it was just horrible. I couldn't have pushed a lawnmower across that. I had ridges that were 6, 8 inches tall, but with the Dethatcher and Scarfire, a couple of passes, you know, north, south, east, west, it'll level that ground for you. You don't have to bring that rake out. Forget that rake. This is what you need. I've got Scarfire blades on here now, but I also use Dethatcher quite frequently. If you order one of these things, go ahead and get you an extra set of blades for the thing. You can get those right off of Amazon, and just make sure you order, you know, if you're going to get the Dethatcher, make sure you order the Dethatcher cylinders that match the model number of the Sunjoe you have. So far I haven't had any trouble getting Scarfire cylinders. Everyone I ever ordered has fit. But you can get those right off Amazon. Quick delivery too. I've had some neighbors ask me, you know, hey, how come you don't put links in your description? Well, number one, I don't know how to do that. And to me, a link looks like gobbledygook, some kind of code number. I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to that computer. And secondly, you know, nobody's paying me to do that. And it's not that much trouble. If I say, hey, you know, you can get this on Amazon or you can get this at Lowe's, just order it. I mean, you got to go to their website to order it anyhow. You just type in what it is and look at a picture of it. You might see something you like better. Okay, I want to come down here and talk about this ram pump for a minute. This is my ram pump system. The ram pump is actually way up the creek there, about 700, 800 feet from here. And that doesn't look like much coming out of there. But I've been averaging about 20 gallons an hour. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less. Depends on how many leaves get clogged up on my intake screen. This pool here, it says supposed to hold 1,058 gallons. I don't know. I don't have it level. I might get 900 gallons in here, and that one maybe 750 gallons. But I have enough. I have enough to do what I need it to do. I've had 0 rain since I sowed this yard this year. Not a single measurable drop of rain. So every bit of irrigation I've done so far this year has been with my ram pump. And I'd say on average, you know, once I have my yard established and I'm just irrigating during the year, I probably, you know, during the growing season, I'm probably using at least 6,000 gallons a month. Yeah, I would guess that easily. Maybe more, maybe a little less, but suppose you had to pay for 6,000 gallons of water. That's a lot, but it takes a lot. And I think what I've done this year, I haven't really stepped it out, but it's probably 13,000 square feet that I'm irrigating this year. So, you know, it takes a lot of water to do that, especially in the beginning if you're watering 3 times a day. I might make some videos later on about the ram pump and my system and everything. But that Sunjoe and the ram pump both have contributed greatly to my success. Plus, I really like those little gray boogers you see on my yard. That stuff really seems to have helped my germination rate. I don't know.